Does he have black, but he's facing Mamedyarov in great form. Mamedyarov, that last game, was a bit of an endgame masterpiece, and now Magnus has to pick himself up, go again. He knows even a draw in this game, Magnus, and his fate is no longer in his own hands. So difficult times for the world champion. Mamedyarov, meanwhile, can relax, continue playing that spoiler role, and knowing him, he'll go all out for the win anyway.
And if Mamedyarov wins this game, he will win the match. It is a must-not-lose situation for Magnus Carlsen. And if he loses this match, we can say almost 100% certain he's not going to win the tournament.
Yeah, and actually, there's only one player in this set of games. There's only one player who can actually win the tournament now, and that's Duda. If Duda draws or wins his game and Pragnananda and Carlsen lose, Duda is the champion. So,
wow.
It's, yeah, and also Liam, outside chance, but yeah, there's a lot of permutations. We'll keep you guys updated as the results tick in, as we see the evaluation bars change. But Mamedyarov, do you think he'll go for a safe approach and just provoke Magnus? Maybe Magnus has to take some risks.
I think he has done with his last move. Magnus picking a very risky opening. The King's Indian defence, a really exciting opening. And I do suggest, if you want to learn more about this, there's a chessboard course out by our friend, English Grandmaster, really strong player, Gawain Jones, one of the strongest players in England. And he's done a brilliant two-part course, and I'm being serious here, it's a course I want to get because I love the King's Indian defence. I actually managed to once beat Korchnoi in it when he was very old. But it's an exciting opening. He's going for a win, and Mamedyarov's just like, OK, I'm not going to go for the centre. I'm going to play what is the pan-off. I'm going to play this positional move, which kind of stops Black having as much fun as he wants to. Magnus lashing out with c5 and trying to complicate the position. Magnus risking it here, I think. Yeah,
Magnus definitely risking it.
Actually, this is, I was looking at it and I was like, this is very familiar to me. And it's actually a repetition of one of their games during the tour final. Obviously, it was Shakira who won that one.
Yeah, we remember that tour final. Every game went in White's favour. And OK, this bishop move, very mysterious, but just clearing the way for the white rook in the corner to slide across two squares. If Black's queen gets greedy now and grabs the pawn in front of her, the Black queen can actually grab a pawn, but there will be terrible consequences. If I remember correctly, Shakira won that game very quickly.
He did, and he won it because Magnus grabbed that pawn. So actually taking that pawn is not to be recommended. Magnus should probably just get the king to safety and castle.
Yeah, get Black's king to safety. It's the only way now. It's the safest way. Magnus was rubbing his head, maybe just wondering how he's going to create winning chances in this game, because White's setup is very, very solid. This one has great reputation for White. This type of position as just being hard to break down. Not necessarily aggressive in Shaq style, but Magnus just looking up now to the ceiling. He's just maybe asking a little prayer, or maybe he's just trying to remember what he studied before.
But wait 1 second. If Magnus draws and Liam wins, then Liam is the dangerous customer for Magnus here.
Because Liam has the better head-to-head.
Yes.
He beat Magnus early in the tournament. Yeah, I mean, so many different scenarios.
Yeah, we need our chess for numbers guy, don't we?
Yes.
To come on and clear it up, because there are
percentages.
Yeah.
We need the predictions.
Yeah. There's so many possibilities here, but you know, it's still in Magnus's hands because he can win the next two games. But I feel one thing that for Magnus is they say there's no luck in chess, and that's kind of true because I think you make your own luck. But sometimes you need the openings. You need to get the positions that suit what you want to do. And to my eyes, this position from Magnus's side, it doesn't suit what he wants to do. I know they've had it before, and very clever choice, I feel, from Mamedyarov. A draw is OK, but it's just that space advantage again that White has. And it's very hard to win against a space advantage when you don't have a lot of active ideas. So I feel that the openings are going very well for Mamedyarov in this match. A little bit of luck on his side, maybe, but he's creating that luck as well.
But I'm just checking my database, and I can see that one of our panellists has actually played this variation with the black pieces, and probably has good memories, because you beat Andrew Greet.
Yes, I beat our good friend Andrew Greet, an international master on the black side here. He didn't play the best, I must say, but actually the next couple of moves very much went in my favour. And actually I was very proud of that game. I think pretty much the whole time I played the top suggestion of the computer. I played just the best moves throughout the whole game. And I came up with a nice little tactic later in that one.
Did you trap his queen?
Actually, I won his queen.
British Championships.
Oh no, for NCL.
4 NCL. I was trying to look really clever there and just say, yeah, I remember the game.
He won his queen.
Yeah,
You're right.
He won his queen. I sort of remember that bit. Yeah.
Do you think Shaq has looked at this?
Possibly. And in that game, if I recall correctly, he already made a mistake now or on the next couple of moves. I put it in that game.
All the top players study David Howe's games.
Of course.
Every single one of them. When David plays a tournament, they're like, gotta check out David's games. Probably true.
Do you know something? Actually, Simon, it is true.
I know it's true.
They actually study David's games.
He's a good player.
I was talking to Peter Leko, a great Hungarian grandmaster, and he was like, yes, David, I was following. I like your contortionist style, and I was, excellent.
It's surprising, but
It's not surprising.
Not
Not at
surprising.
all.
You've nearly qualified twice for the candidates.
almost.
I won't. Yeah, sorry.
Plus, they must be able to learn a lot from David's long games.
Yeah.
You get opening, middle game, end game.
It depends on the style, and also this one for the white side very much suits my style in general because it does gear towards a longer game where it's very safe for white. I know that game that Jovanka mentioned I played on the black side. That's just because I try and be a bit flexible with my openings, but in general, it depends. Top players, when they want a certain type of position, they look for players who embody that type of position, and therefore they look at the openings of those players. Meanwhile, I was just looking at Shaq's computer, and I think he wants to play a really aggressive move. So not in my style. Maybe Shaq hasn't looked at this position, or this exact position. Maybe he can't remember what he'd looked at, but I think we're about to see this move, Simon.
Oh, wow.
This would be chaos.
Oh, wow.
This is what Shaq was about to click on his screen.
Yeah.
He might change his mind, but this pawn push would just tempt the white queen to capture two different poison pawns. I don't think the queen can capture either. If the queen captures this pawn, the white knight jumps forward, and suddenly, whoops, this queen is attacked by the white rook. Trouble there for Magnus. That's exactly pretty much how he lost last time. A very similar pattern, and he only pushed it one
he
square.
only pushed it one square. But
If
I have
he
to
had taken
say,
here, similar danger, double attack.
that is actually the most popular move. And your move has actually been played before, and by two players with rather cool names, Norbert Krug.
Ooh, Norbert.
Norbert, yeah, it's not often that you hear this very old-fashioned name.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, white's pawn stepping forward, just creating this nice little chain, and black developing a knight. So very, very solid from both sides. I'm expecting Mamedyarov just to try and get his knight out as soon as possible, just to get his king to safety. The white king's still stuck in the middle. That's the one downside for white.
Yeah, you could.
Magnus keeps rubbing his face. Is he a little frustrated?
Yeah, definitely. I feel. I mean, he's just not really getting the position he wants out of the games. Now, this idea, this is like a very aggressive idea, and I think he's got to go for this. And this is a way you can at least try to complicate things. As Davis points out, maybe we can just show what happens if white now played the quite natural move of castling. And the setup now of black's three pieces after the bishop develops in, and let's say white plays another quiet move like a3, and now the knight coming in. This is well worth remembering, this setup of these three pieces. This is incredibly dangerous. Hence why, if we go back to the game, if you get that setup that David's showing there on the board, there's numerous threats brewing around the white king. And if we go back to the board, this is why Shaq is like, no. I'm just going to stop those things from happening and keep you out if I can.
Yeah, and so this pawn push now occupying a square that the black bishop wanted to use. So no access to this square anymore. Magnus just takes a time out, but this one looks weird to me. Pushing this pawn forward one square, it looks as if anything, he's trying to trap his own queen. The black queen looks nice and active, but she might well walk into some pawn pushes later on, and she's lacking squares. Here, the black queen would have to zoom all the way across to the other side of the board once more, maybe having to escape using this square. Already it just feels wrong to me for Magnus.
I mean, could Magnus be losing in 3 games there?
Possibly.
I mean,
Shaq's pressing forward, he's going on the attack.
He's going for it, and this is, Shaq will enjoy this position as well. Yeah. There's many creative ideas that he can try out here, and the black queen has lost so much time.
Yeah, she's already moved 1, 2, 3, 4 times in this game, and now I'm expecting Shaq maybe to attack her with his bishop or castle the white king. This is slightly weakening for white, but not the end of the world. I think white can just castle here, and it's very difficult for black.
I do think that the reason that Magnus has played this is because he's trying to win this game. He's taken extreme risks, and he's saying, OK, I'm going to lose loads of time. I know my position is probably bad, but I've made you play this little move on the king's side, this little pawn move. And because you played that little pawn move, if you castle that way, your king's always going to be weak. So I'm going to have some practical chances. But he's losing more time again. The queen is attacked here, David, and it's got to lose more time, Jovanka, here.
Yeah, definitely. You know, queen has to move to the edge of the board. It's only got one square, well, it's got two squares, but, you know...
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's true that white has kind of expanded on the right with the pawns.
I like it though, white's queen will just step forward and actually white's the one gaining time, if anything, against this black pawn.
Yeah, but also I'm just going to say that those pawns are not really okay in your move on the board. And it doesn't really feel like a weakness. It actually feels like a strength, you know. And wow.
Magnus is trying everything he can to...
What a surprising move.
Imbalance the position. He's pushed his pawn forward, allowing white to continue the advance. White for sure is going to play this. You don't really want to do anything else. You don't want to allow black to capture your pawn. So why not step forward, kick away the black knight from the centre? And you say surprising, Jovanka, because it looks like black's pieces are just getting worse and worse.
Yeah, but maybe he had to do that, actually. Maybe, you know, it wasn't possible to play the most natural move, which would have been just defending the pawn with the king.
Yeah.
Because, unfortunately, maybe
that didn't look natural to me at all, putting the king there. But, OK, yeah, now this pawn push has happened and Magnus is going to retreat with his knight.
And the problem here, isn't it, is that when the black knight does move, which we're going to wait and see, as you're showing on the analysis board there, is that white has this fantastic square in the middle of the board. And this is also a risk-free, nice advantage. The queens are coming off. You've got no weaknesses as white. And look at that knight. That knight is just attacking everything. You don't even need to move the knight in there straight away, but it will come into that position at the right time.
This is beautiful. Black
is very cramped. And look at Magnus has got his head in his hands there. And I think we can understand why it's not what he wants here.
Yeah.
Not only is this, OK, this is actually happening on the board, this knight is beautiful, but this white bishop as well, indirectly threatening a lot of stuff. I mean, this just looks glorious for white. This is my ultimate fancy, getting a position like this one from an opening. I mean...
Is it really your ultimate fantasy?
One of my...
Your ultimate chess fantasy?
Exactly, yeah.
OK.
I mean, it's just beautiful. You have this pawn chain, you gain space, you have this beautiful knight on the centre. I mean, what is black doing? What are these pieces doing? Still asleep. Black's pawn structure as well, not active. Let's go back to the players. Magnus already on the back foot. And remember, if he loses this one, he's got almost no chance of winning the tournament anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's out of it, isn't he, really, with everyone else biting his heels. And he's picked a very risky strategy by playing so provocative. He could have played a more solid system. He's now... How many times has he moved that queen?
That's the 6th time he's moved his queen.
Out of how many moves has he played?
That's the 16th move.
So he's moved it a third of the time, you know, over a third of the time.
And she's ended up on the square she started the game on. Black's moved the queen 6 times and she's back home.
So, sometimes when you're like these games, you don't show them to beginners. You just don't show them, because imagine showing a beginner you're trying to teach chess to, oh, look what the world champion's done here. He's moved his queen out early, he's moved it 6 times, and he's put it back again. Yeah. And it's like, don't do that, you know, but he's the world champion. He does it. I mean, very quickly, there's like a story. Hikaru Nakamura once brought his queen out and moved 2.
I remember.
And I was teaching at the time in a school, and I went in, the kids started bringing their queen out. And I said, I told you not to do that. You know, it's not a good idea to bring your queen out earlier. And they're like, Hikaru did it. Hikaru brought his queen out and moved 2. And I said, no, don't listen to Hikaru. And they're like, you know, it's just like bad advice. So, and it's the same here, isn't it? That queen's wandering around.
That's also the problem with the Bond Cloud opening 1F3. These top grandmasters, they can get away with it because they're so good at chess, but at lower levels, it will never work.
No, absolutely not. You sounded like a Harry Enfield character.
I was doing Harry Enfield. No. That's right. Yeah, just from, yeah, that was actually directly Harry Enfield, yeah. So, I don't know why.
I couldn't remember the name.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, but, well, from a teaching perspective, it would be actually quite instructive if Magnus were to lose, just from a teaching perspective. Because then you could say, exactly like David says, don't do this at home. I mean, this comes with risks. And on the other hand, we've seen it time and time again. Grandmasters get away with it.
Yeah, and if Magnus ends up winning this game, then we might praise him for provoking Mamedyarov, lulling him into a false sense of security, kind of confusing Mamedyarov. Magnus does have a couple of minutes extra on the clock just because he's played such weird, wonderful moves that Mamedyarov has had to pause. Mamedyarov probably couldn't have guessed anything that Magnus has done so far, but objectively, in the grand scheme of things, it's not good for black. And
it kind of reminds me of that game we mentioned as well, the Basman versus Ulf Andersson game, though, where in this very famous game from Hastings about 30 years ago, we mentioned it in the previous round, you saw that Ulf Andersson gained all this space, he came forwards, but at some point his pawns had come a little bit too far forwards, and I'm wondering if White's pawn on the right-hand side of the board has done that. But a very direct plan here played in the game.
Yeah, Mamedyarov is just getting greedy and he wants to win a pawn, and he's going to win a pawn. That's inevitable now. We see his screen there, Mamedyarov looking very calm, very cool, and we just saw a trade of knights actually on this square, and now Mamedyarov with this last knight retreat, he's attacking this pawn with his knight, he's attacking this pawn with his bishop. That's 2 attacks, and the pawn isn't even defended once. So that pawn is doomed. It's dropping off the board on the next turn no matter what. I think Magnus just has to maybe prepare for that by bringing his bishop out or his black queen, just hoping, for example, that the white knight captures this pawn, because suddenly, after the black queen moves, this knight is in a pin. And suddenly, black is the one conquering this diagonal with his bishop. So this is what I think Magnus just has to do. You have to somehow get your pieces active, this bishop, this queen. I'm not sure which order, which piece you should move first, but yeah, he's about to go down a pawn. I'm expecting if the bishop does move, maybe Mamedyarov will actually take this pawn with his bishop, trading bishops off. And yes, black is 1 pawn down now, but at least the white king, if it ever castles this side, it's going to be very, very open. So maybe long-term, Magnus has some chances against the white king in the centre.
Yeah, I agree. And also, white has to be very careful with how they retreat the knight. Retreat it to the wrong square at your peril. If you retreat it to B... Oh, no, it's fine. I forgot about the queen sitting there on D2.
Yeah, so maybe you can reroute it this way back to the centre.
Is that if you look at just the king side, though, and the structure on the king side, you do see white's pawn all the way up there. And I'm thinking, like, you know, there's a lot of squares around that which black might be able to manoeuvre into. The black king is really, really safe. So just later on, even though this looks like it's going Mamedyarov's way, there might be some chances on that area of the board for Magnus, because Mamedyarov's come maybe a little bit too far forwards. Well, it was the right way to play, but you have to watch out for that.
Yeah, it's provocative, that's for sure. And, OK, black brings the queen out. So same trick, you can't take this pawn with the white knight because you lose to this bishop coming forward and a pin and win for black. Instead, white does take with his own bishop. The black rook moves out of the way of that white bishop, and now I'm expecting Shak. I was about to say I was expecting him to retreat, but I just spotted a really sneaky move. You could even jump into the centre with the white knight, hitting the queen, because actually this bishop is poisoned. If the black queen takes this bishop, whoops, another knight fork. These royal forks happening all the time. So maybe that's possible here for Shak, jumping forward, forcing the black queen to move for the 8th time in the game and to go back home where she started.
I mean, no offence to Magnus, but if there are any chess teachers out there, we kind of do want him to lose this, because if he wins this game after just moving his queen around, it's going to be chaos in the chess schools, isn't it? I saw Magnus do this, I'm going to move my queen around. It's like, you know, no.
He doesn't go for that. I was hoping Shak would do this just to force the black queen back to her home. But no, instead, in the last position, instead of bringing his knight forward, he retreated the bishop. Still this idea of hitting the black queen again in the air. And, OK, it's about to happen. She's about to move for the 8th time. Wow.
How many moves? We've got, so that's 8 times out of 22 moves. So literally it's
more than a third.
More than a third.
What does that tell us about Magnus in this game? It's not...
I think he's just freestyling. He's not really considering long-term stuff. He's just hoping, gambling. He's trying to provoke Mamedyarov. But look where the black queen is now. It's still on a terrible square. It's just eyed up indirectly by white's bishop. And this is why we always say, don't bring your queen out too early. It will backfire. The queen is the most valuable piece. Anything that challenges her, threatens her, she'll have to run away from.
I'm not liking the trend actually for Magnus. You know, we laughed about it. You know, the queen moving around a lot of times around the board, but whenever we've seen Magnus lose, it's because he's wasted a lot of time.
Yeah. I will say, like Magnus, he's got the best general understanding of everyone, probably in chess history, but there are occasions when he's tilting, when things are not going in his favour, where he just purely calculates. He forgets maybe about king safety. We've seen that before in some games where he neglects his king safety. He forgets that the opponent is also going to play good moves. But yeah, I mean, maybe he'll turn things around still, Magnus. He's not out of it yet, despite breaking all the rules and being a pawn down.
So I'm just looking at the, the potential things that could happen this round, as you mentioned, and it looks like Magnus could lose this game. It looks like Duda could draw or win. That means if Prague loses, we actually have a winner. Is that right? I think. Have I worked out right? I'm so confused. We need chess by numbers.
Liam still has a chance in the Rapids. What was the head-to-head? Liam against Duda.
Liam beats Duda on his birthday.
So
Liam could actually...
Liam could be the one, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Liam or Duda.
But Liam lost to Pragnananda.
Yeah, so if Pragnananda is on the same score...
But yeah, if it's a contest between Pragnananda and Liam, that's it. Pragnananda wins.
I just opened Pandora's box there, didn't I? I should have just left that alone. I really should have. Sorry about that.
But if Liam, it's a contest between Liam and Magnus and Duda, then Liam wins overall.
But it's definitely very dramatic right now. So Magnus Carlsen is in a must-not-lose situation. If he loses this game, he loses the match, and he's not going to be the winner of the tournament. And look at the bar, all the way over to Shakri outside. And Pragnananda as well. Must-not-lose situation against Giri. He is down by 1 point in that match. And if he loses that match, it's going to be over for him as well. He's not going to win the tournament. So Duda and Liam Lea, they are seeing some serious hope right now about Duda about to win his match. He only needs a draw in game 3 here. And Liam Lea, the bar is all the way over to his side.
I mean, imagine we've been talking about Prague and Carlsen as if it was a 2-horse race the whole tournament. Prague leading most of the time, Magnus catching him, but it could be the two kind of chasers, Duda and Liam, who end up kind of battling it out for first place. And Duda, it looks likely he'll kind of get the draw he needs to win the match in 3 games. He's just going to be chilling. I mean, I was going to say he's going to be chilling out later. He looks pretty chilled right now, but if he's chilling out, he's just watching, relaxing, and the pressure is all going to be on his rivals.
And if Duda wins the match against Eric, Pragnananda is in a must-win situation right now.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's very tense. I mean, going back to the position here, my first thought was, Magnus has made a bit of progress here because maybe he has some targets to attack on the queen side. But then looking at it a little bit more, it's the real problem with that queen again. It's the black queen. The black queen is in a pin, meaning that the knight cannot move. If the knight ever moves, you lose your queen. And with the last idea that Shaq's played, he's just aiming to double up on the open file, a very good idea. And there's a lot of pressure on that knight. Magnus is trying to defend that knight and Shaq increasing the pressure on that knight. Can Magnus hold the dark squares together? That is the question.
That's what he's trying, but look at Shaq. He's so confident right now. Shaq playing instantly. Black has a blockade on the dark squares, as Simon mentioned, but you can break through this blockade most likely. First, you need to remove your opponent's active pieces, and this black rook looked great inside white's half of the board, so why not trade it off? And okay, the black queen is still on the same diagonal as the white bishop. What is that, the 9th time she's moved now? Yeah, I mean, at the very least, Mamedyarov can just sit and wait. Black is frozen. Black has nothing to do. At some point, you can decide whether to trade off rooks. Ideally, at some point, you want to mobilize your pawn advantage. White is 1 pawn up, so these 2 should beat this 1, but they're difficult to push right now. So that's the dilemma for Shaq, what to do, what to improve. I would be tempted at the right moment, maybe put my king on a light square first, away from black's bishop, but at the right moment, you've kind of dominated this line with white, with your rooks. At some point, you can start pushing forward and, okay, a trade of rooks first.
Yeah, I was getting a little bit excited because you can probably guess what I was thinking about playing.
Ivanka wants to push some pawns.
Correct. I was like, woohoo! And get that pawn onto the 5th row and do some damage.
Have you ever been tempted to say that or accidentally said, like, woohoo, during a game, like you're playing? Because you just said it there. And then, like, subconsciously you play a move, you're like, woohoo! And then you realise, like, actually you're not allowed to say that.
No, I've never...
Big threat, though, in the position. This pawn is under fire from white's rook and white's queen. Still looking good for Mamedyarov.
OK, but is he going to sack the exchange now? I mean...
No need. There's no need to do it.
Sacrifice the rook for bishop.
No,
I mean, the rook is in such a perfect square. It can, it can work vertically. It can work horizontally across the board. And also, I really want to get my plan in the book.
Yeah, it looks good, your plan, actually, too, because the black king has no pieces around it.
Yeah.
Black king has no pieces, so you could just throw this white pawn towards it to open it up. Also, a big threat in the position, I think, strategically. If black does nothing, if black just waits, I'm not sure how, for example, with the rook, then white could even push forward with the pawn.
You can do it right now.
Yeah, I mean, sorry to interrupt, but I think Pragg is about to lose. I think it's. I think it looks like he's. Let me just double check this one on the board. But as far as I'm seeing, it is Pragg is just losing at the moment. So yeah, we could have a winner at the end of this round still.
Wow. That means it's probably over for Praggnanandhaa. Losing both this game and then the match to Anish Giri, he will not win the tournament. But what a fight the 16-year-old has given us in this tournament.
That's right.
And Shakhriyar fighting to win this game against Magnus to decide the match as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad news because I just had a peek at the position and Simon is right. You know, Praggnanandhaa's knight is going to be trapped on the edge of the board. There's really no coming back from that one.
Yeah, fair play to Giri, though, after a difficult tournament. He struck back today, and yeah, it's just difficult for Pragg that it was today that Giri picked his form back up.
Yeah.
And, all right, and we see the screen from for Mamedyarov, thinking for now a little over a minute. Is this one of those critical moments?
Possibly. He's just taking a time out, improving the white bishop. Actually, a big threat on the board, potentially. White's bishop and white's queen. Notice how they're on the same diagonal. They're maybe going towards the black king. Maybe they're going to open things up and sacrifice there. But the evaluation bar, not impressed by Shak's last move. Personally, I thought he looked pretty impressive. I didn't think there was any downside to this one. But maybe the threats just are imaginary right now. Black's king goes to defend some of its own pawns.
He's got to do it now, isn't he? He's got to do it. He's got to launch. I mean, clearly.
Everything's building up to this one moment. Come on,
Shakhriyar. Look at his screen. He's about to retreat his bishop. Maybe just a bit of nerves from Shakhriyar, not stepping forward on the attack.
Yeah.
He's still, you know, there is a threat. Bishop takes pawn. So, OK, I can still see the position being repeated and my idea coming into fruition.
Just to show the threat right now, because of the pin on this diagonal, you mentioned bishop takes pawn. For example, if black just waits and does nothing, then white can take this pawn. It's not possible to capture the white bishop because of this pin. So
David,
that's the idea.
It might be worth continuing that. Let's say in the position, black moves the king rather than allowing that tactic to occur to get it out the thing. One thing I sort of saw that white would love to play is pushing the pawn on the A file 2 squares. Now, I don't think that tactically works, but if you can play this move, the reason you want to play this is you get a fantastic pass pawn, and we saw Mamedyarov use that pawn to win earlier on. He can't be going for a draw.
No.
Is he going for a draw?
He's going to do...
He can't be going for a draw.
Let's finish
the
it.
F-flat.
Oh,
no.
OK, he's repeated the position
Don't
twice
do
now.
It. Don't do it.
Let's go back to the players. We could see the position repeat for a third time if Mamedyarov puts his white bishop in the centre of the board. He must be getting nervous. I don't think he's going to repeat. You don't have to. You can just move the white king. You could do anything here.
It's pawn up.
There's no risk as well.
It's a pawn up. He's got a great position. I mean, this could be disastrous for him. And I bet Magnus is there, like, please, just put it back in the middle now. Let's have a draw. I mean, you can't take the draw here, really. You just can't. You can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, we could even see a situation where Magnus, if he does take the draw now, wins the next game. And if Liem and Duda all win, we have a 3-way tie for first.
Whoa.
And they've all beaten each other.
Oh, my goodness me.
Head-to-head won't solve that one.
And guess what?
Blimey.
I'm just checking Liam's position, and he is beating Jordan van Foreest.
Not good news for Magnus Carlsen, who Liem beat earlier in the tournament. Look at Liem looking focused. He's so good as well. He, I think, has one of the strongest nerves I've ever seen, Liem. He's just so calm all the time. And Magnus, he's trying not to betray any emotions. He's got a poker face on, but a draw is on the table if Mamedyarov wants it. He shouldn't take it, of course, Mamedyarov, but he could ruin Magnus's tournament chances.
He's got to play for the win, surely. I mean, can you push the A pawn? I mean, if you can do that, then you play it without thinking. Maybe it doesn't work tactically, I guess, but that idea we looked at a minute ago, I mean, but still, Jovanka, your idea, or just moving the bishop out of the way, throwing the pawn down the board, attacking the king, there's not so much danger, is there?
Unfortunately, he can't put the bishop on the...
Well, he has to move it back again, and look, he's lost a lot of tempo.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
He plays for the win.
Okay.
Well done, Mamedyarov.
Magnus's reaction as well.
Yeah.
Disappointed.
Yeah, he wanted the draw there. You know, one time in his life, he actually wanted a draw.
Yeah. That being said, the decision did cost Mamedyarov a few minutes, and Mamedyarov taking a quiet timeout with the white king has given Magnus the time now to go after white's a pawn. Look at the black rook and queen lining up against white's pawn on the a2 square. Could we see a trade now? We do see a trade. White's bishop gives itself up for the black knight.
Does d6 work? This is
a big question.
Does it work?
And, OK, we talk about big questions. We have to show this.
Yeah.
The game is heating up. Black is attacking this pawn with his queen, backed up by the black rook. So time is of the essence. And it's a huge moment. Do you just push forward with your pawn, opening up the white bishop to attack this rook? This is the most natural move in the position. The question is whether black can just capture back, ignore you, allow the rook to drop, and give a nasty check to the white king.
David, I think there's an even stronger move. I think you can now play that move I want to play. Instead of going d6, d6 very strong probably. I think that works, but I love... let's push the a-pawn.
Okay,
He's gone for the more tactical idea. Probably also good, but he had that chance to really just have complete control of the position there.
It's difficult to spot this pawn move because instinct-wise you see, oh, en passant, and black is about to promote to a new queen, but white's rook could have come across, and you skewer and actually you win a piece here. At the very end, black's bishop might drop off, but instead we see the position we did just show. Wow, things are heating up. This pawn pushed forward, attacking this pawn, but also attacking the rook in the corner from white's bishop. So black decided, OK, he can give up the rook, he captured, and after a trade here, we see now this material imbalance. It's actually level pawns, but white has a rook for the black bishop. First of all, this check. How do you deal with it?
Can you get a bit crazy and can you block it with your queen?
Possibly. I guess you can block it with the queen, hoping that this double attack you can just step out of, you can retreat and maintain this pin. The problem is, I think maybe by stepping forward with your queen, you just give up a very important pawn, this pawn. And
I can see this position going wrong for Mamedyarov. Yeah. The reason I say that is, again, we talked about the king side. White's king side is very weak. And even though you'll exchange up, the bishop, to me, looks pretty good. The pawns in the middle are active. I could actually see this going wrong. Just the fact that, you know, the rook's not very good and the white king is, the black king, incredibly safe. So I'm not convinced this is, you know, so clear at all anymore, actually.
It's definitely a 3-result game now. Mamedyarov still a favourite on the board, but look at the clock. He's 4 minutes down. And Magnus, he's an endgame magician. He can still fight back here. So, yeah, let's see whether the black queen and black bishop can fight against white's pieces.
And it's a win for Anish Giri against Pragnanandha in Game 3. That means Giri wins the match. 0 points for Pragnanandha, who's had a fantastic tournament. But he's not going to be the winner of the Oslo Esports Cup. But what a tournament for Pragnanandha. It ends here, though. Maybe the pressure over the last few days got to him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there is that as well, but he was also playing some incredible players. And wait 1 second, I just had to take you back to the board.
What has just happened?
He's just given a pawn.
Is this blindness? Oh, the white rook can just step forward 1 square and capture a black pawn.
And he has.
And Magnus, look at him.
Oh, my words.
Just hallucination. He forgot this pawn was up for grabs.
Could it be a mouse slip? Could he have intended to play the queen?
No, because I think
look at Shakriya trying to look around the computer to see what's going on.
I don't think it's a mouse slip because only when Shaq took the pawn did he react. He's done 2 of these incredible blunders. He missed the bishop move the other day and he's missed the rook move today.
There were mouse slips earlier in the event.
Yeah. It's
wow.
Crazy. I mean, this is now game, match, everything.
Yeah, white has a rook and a pawn for black's bishop now, but the white rook is free. That's the clear thing. The white rook has scope over the whole board. It's game over, as you say, Simon.
And look what he's done to the bishop as well. Yeah. Dark square bishop. Well,
it's
not a great piece because it's blocked in by its own pawns. Oh, no, like you say, Dave, Simon, it's over.
I think that was just a blunder. I mean, he blundered horribly against Jordan, you know, kind of forgetting that the bishop can move all the way to the end of the board, just not seeing it. And here, he's missed that the rook can take the pawn. And I just, yeah, I'm quite speechless for first kind in a long time.
Something is up with the world champion. You never see him blunder like this normally. It's happened a few times this event. And look at this, the Black Queen. She did go and grab a pawn back, but she's been distracted. And now it's White's turn to attack. The Black King, no defenders around it. This is a check. And wherever the Black King goes now, the White Queen is going to start joining her rook. It's game over any moment now. Magnus, he might be out of the running for this tournament.
Yeah, he's going to be devastated with us. I mean, we know what a champ he is, what a brilliant player, and just how much winning means to him. But he's not just going to be devastated with the result, he's going to be devastated with his play today. It just hasn't been him, has it?
No. And big threat on the board, checkmate in one move. The White Queen, if she gets time, she'll go up on the line and capture the Black F-pawn, and the Black King is trapped. There's no way to save this game now. There's another threat of the White Queen going up to the 6th rank. The Black King caught in a checkmating box in the corner of the board.
And Magnus knows it is absolutely over. There's nothing he can do.
Zero chance now.
Oh, look at that.
Devastation.
Oh.
He just wants to get out of there. Magnus Carlsen is about to lose this match in 3 rapid games. And that means he's not going to win the tournament.
Yeah, imagine the 2 leaders today, Pragnananda and Carlsen, both losing in 3 games. Almost unimaginable.
Have we ever seen Magnus lose in 3 games? I mean, I can remember him losing in 3 games, but
I mean, it's
not like
very
this.
rare, and there we go. It's a result.
He resigns. He offers a handshake to the great Shahryar Mamedyarov, who played just some fantastic chess today to win the match against Magnus Carlsen and shake everything up.